Hi, I want to introduce Module 1 to you. Module 1 is really an introduction to the whole course and kind of the foundation of all the things that I think are important for whether we're talking about written business communication, verbal, nonverbal, visual, all those other modules that I'll be following along. The key things that I want you to pay attention to in Module 1 are the fact that communication is not just you speaking. It's a process, and there's a lot of things to consider in the communication process. You want to not only consider you as the sender, which may be speaking, writing, maybe what kind of visual you want to use, whether you're doing social media or if you're a graphic designer or an engineer. But you have to consider the receiver or the audience. The other thing about communication, since it's a process, is you have to consider what is the channel that I'm going to use? Am I going to write it? Am I texting it? Am I emailing it? Is it going on the web? Is it a social media post? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be a picture? So I want to when we go into all the future modules, I want you to make sure you think about communication as a process and of all the elements that we talk about in module one. And when you think about it that way, communication becomes not just about you, but it becomes about the person, other people that are involved, and how they process communication. And of course, when we get into the process, then we start talking about the barriers to communication, which is always interesting because you can be an incredible communicator and then your message can still not be received well. And this can happen within families. I mean, you can be really, really close with your siblings or with maybe a cousin or even a best friend. And it's amazing. We can text something with someone who knows us really, really well. And it's amazing how sometimes that message is misunderstood or taken the wrong way. That can happen with an email, it can be taken with a video. In business, how often is a social media post or a video or a tweet taken the wrong way? So, we're going to talk about some of the barriers to communication from a business standpoint. We'll also talk about what is effective. Now, what I take the approach to this course a little bit differently. I know this is college, and a lot of times when we talk about communication in college, they're all about papers and big presentations and speeches and all that other stuff. Well, I'm from the business world, and we look at communication a little bit differently because time is money and it's all about being effective. And sometimes being effective is about being concise. So when we get into being effective in business communication in this course, it's about how do I get this message across using the proper channel in the most effective way. And sometimes it's about using the right words in the most concise manner, considering my audience. And a lot of times in business, that audience is global. So we have considerations to consider about non English speakers, languages, cultural differences. And the last component that we'll introduce in Module is ethical and legal considerations. And this is really, really tricky right now because we have access to so many visuals and videos and music nowadays. But there's a lot of proprietary and confidential considerations that we have to do when we're using these things in our communications. So we'll talk about what we need to watch for when we're communicating in all these different channels of communication to make sure that we don't get in trouble for ourselves and for the companies that we may be working for. So I hope you enjoy this module.